In the cold, unforgiving depths of space, Jae-hyun found himself trapped on a mining planet that seemed to swallow hope like a black hole. The massive metal facility stretched across the rocky landscape, a testament to the Krull Collective's industrial might. Towering alien supervisors with multiple limbs and metallic exoskeletons watched every movement of the human workers, their eyes glinting with a mixture of contempt and calculated efficiency. Jae-hyun remembered the day of his capture as if it were yesterday. A promising mechanical engineer from Earth, he had been part of a deep space exploration mission when the Krull ships ambushed their research vessel. In mere moments, his entire team was scattered, some killed, others taken as slaves to work, in the endless mines that fed the alien civilization's insatiable hunger for resources. The work was brutal. 12-hour shifts of breaking down mineral deposits, carrying heavy equipment, and navigating treacherous underground tunnels became his entire existence. The environment was a nightmare of dust, extreme temperatures, and constant danger. Massive. Drilling machines rumbled around them, their mechanical arms cutting through rock with precision that seemed almost alive. Jae-hyun's hands were calloused, his body lean and hardened by years of physical labor. Unlike many of his fellow human slaves who had broken under the pressure, he maintained a spark of hope. He watched, he learned, and he remembered every detail of the facility. The alien technology that seemed so complex to others was like an open book to him. His engineering background gave him an advantage that the Krull had not anticipated. The slave quarters were nothing more than metal containers, stacked like cargo units. Dozens of humans were packed into small, cramped spaces, with barely enough room to move. At night, the sounds of exhaustion, pain, and quiet desperation filled the air. Some slept, others whispered plans that would never come to fruition. But Jae-hyun was different. He listened more than he spoke, observed more than he acted. The Krull supervisors believed humans were weak. They saw them as nothing more than replaceable tools, biological machines designed to extract resources. Each day, workers who couldn't meet their quotas were punished. Public beatings were common, designed to break the spirit of those who might consider resistance. The message was clear. Survival depended on complete submission. But Jae-hyun saw opportunity where others saw only despair. He noticed the small details, the timing of guard rotations, the patterns of security systems, the subtle weaknesses in the facility's infrastructure. Every broken tool, every discarded piece of equipment became a potential resource in his mind. His fellow slaves had begun to notice something different about him. While most kept their heads down, Jae-hyun would sometimes be caught studying the massive drilling machines, his eyes calculating, his mind working through complex problems. A few began to whisper that he might be planning something, but most were too afraid to hope. The planet itself was a harsh environment. Outside the protective domes of the mining facility, toxic winds swept across rocky landscapes. Temperatures could drop to -100 degrees in moments, or rise to scorching levels that could kill an unprotected human in minutes. The Krull had designed the entire operation to be a perfect prison. Escape seemed impossible. Yet Jae-hyun continued. To watch, to learn, to plan. He understood that survival was not just about physical endurance, but about using one's mind. The aliens might have superior technology and overwhelming force, but they underestimated the human capacity for adaptation and creativity. Each day blended into the next, a monotonous cycle of work, punishment, and survival. But beneath the surface, something was brewing. Jae-hyun was collecting information, building connections, and waiting for the perfect moment. The Krull believed they had broken the human spirit, but they were about to learn a painful lesson about the resilience of those they considered nothing more than slaves. As another long shift ended, Jae-hyun looked up at the artificial lighting of the facility. To the casual observer, he was just another tired worker. But behind his eyes, a plan was taking shape. A plan that would change everything. The subjugation would not last forever, and the Krull had no idea what was coming. In the dimly lit corners of the mining facility, Jae-hyun began his careful preparations. Every moment was a calculated risk, every movement a potential pathway to freedom. He understood that survival meant more than just enduring. It meant planning, collecting, and waiting. The facility's maintenance areas became his secret workshop. Discarded equipment, broken tools, and seemingly useless metal scraps transformed under his skilled hands. Other slaves watched in quiet amazement as he would sit during rare moments of rest, carefully dismantling small devices, understanding their inner workings with an engineer's precision. His closest ally was Yu-Jin, a former communication technician who had been captured during a trade mission. She moved through the facility with a quiet grace, her ability to gather information becoming crucial to Jae-hyun's growing plan. When guards weren't watching, she would pass him small electronic components, bits of wire, and fragments of communication systems. The Krull believed their surveillance was perfect. Cameras covered every possible angle, sensors detected the slightest, unauthorized movement. But Jae-hyun had discovered something the aliens never considered. No system was truly perfect. He began mapping out the facility's blind spots, identifying moments of technological vulnerability. During work shifts, he would carefully position himself near critical infrastructure, a seemingly random placement near power conduits, a moment of unnecessary proximity to communication terminals. Each movement was intentional. He memorized signal patterns, understood the rhythm of security protocols, and slowly built a mental map of the facility's technological nervous system. Yu-Jin helped him create a hidden communication network using the most unlikely of tools, discarded mining equipment, repurposed cooling systems, and carefully modified maintenance devices became their secret communication channels. They developed a complex system of coded messages that looked like nothing more than routine maintenance, reports to the unsuspecting Krull supervisors. The other slaves began to notice changes, small improvements in their living conditions, subtle adjustments that made their brutal existence slightly more bearable. Some whispered that Jae-hyun was collecting favors, building a network of trust and support. Others believed he was simply trying to survive in a more intelligent way. Night shifts became his primary time of preparation. While most slaves collapsed from exhaustion, Jae-hyun would work quietly, carefully connecting small electronic components, creating hidden storage spaces within the facility's massive infrastructure. He understood that every small piece of technology could be a potential weapon, every discarded component a possible key to freedom. The Krull supervisors continued to treat humans as nothing more than disposable labor. They failed to recognize the intelligence growing right under their multiple eyes. Jae-hyun watched their patterns, understood their technological limitations, and slowly built a plan that would exploit every single weakness. Communication was key. Yu-Jin helped him create a network of trusted individuals, slaves who had maintained their hope, their spirit unbroken by years of brutal treatment. They passed information through subtle signals, coded messages hidden within routine work communications. Weeks turned into months. His collection of modified equipment grew. Small batteries reconstructed from mining tools, communication components carefully rewired, sensor systems subtly adjusted. To the casual observer, it looked like nothing more than standard maintenance work. But each piece was a part of a larger puzzle. The facility's technology became his playground. He understood systems that the Krull believed were beyond human comprehension. Every security protocol, every communication channel, every power system became something he could potentially manipulate. Most importantly, Jae-hyun was patient. He knew that a single mistake could destroy everything he had been carefully building. Each day was another step in his preparation, another moment of gathering strength, another opportunity to understand the complex system that held them captive. The Krull believed they had broken the human spirit. They believed their technology was unbeatable. They had no idea that within their own facility, a plan was taking shape, a plan that would challenge everything they understood about their human slaves. As another cycle of work ended, Jae-hyun looked at his collection of modified equipment. To anyone else, it would look like random pieces of metal and wire, but to him it was the beginning of something much bigger, something that would change everything. The moment arrived with a silence that felt electric. Jae-hyun knew exactly when to strike. During the facility's critical maintenance cycle, when systems were most vulnerable, The massive mining complex hummed with its usual mechanical rhythm. Completely unaware of the storm about to break, his modified mining drones waited strategically placed throughout the facility. Small devices that looked like standard maintenance equipment now contained carefully programmed disruption sequences. To the Krull supervisors, everything appeared normal. But beneath the surface, a complex technological attack was about to unfold. Yu Jin's part was crucial. She had positioned herself near the primary communication hub, ready to create additional confusion. Her fingers moved with precision, triggering subtle signal interruptions that would make the facility's security systems struggle to communicate effectively. The first sign of trouble came quietly. A mining drone suddenly changed its drilling pattern, moving erratically. Another stopped mid-operation, its mechanical arm frozen in an unnatural position. The Krull supervisors initially thought it was a simple technical glitch, a fatal mistake that would cost them everything. Jae-hyun watched from his workstation, his movements calculated and calm. He had spent months preparing for this exact moment. Each modified system, each carefully placed device was now working in perfect synchronization. The technological attack was like a perfectly choreographed dance of destruction. Communication systems began to fail. Security cameras flickered and went dark in strategic locations. Automated security protocols became confused, sending conflicting signals across the facility's massive network. The Krull's supposedly impenetrable technological infrastructure was crumbling from within. The alien supervisors began to panic. Their rigid command structure, which had always been their strength, now became their greatest weakness. Confusion spread faster than they could respond. Each attempt to regain control only revealed another vulnerability that Jae-hyun had carefully planned. Workers watched in a mixture of fear and growing hope. Humans who had been beaten down for years suddenly saw an opportunity. The technological rebellion wasn't just Jae-hyun's plan, it was becoming a collective moment of resistance. Power systems began to fluctuate. Entire sections of the facility went dark, then suddenly blazed with unexpected light. Security doors that were supposed to lock suddenly opened, then closed, creating chaos among the Krull guards. It was a technological symphony of disruption. Jae-hyun moved with purpose. He had studied every system, understood every potential pathway. Where others saw complex alien technology, he saw a series of interconnected systems with predictable weaknesses. Each movement was calculated, each action designed to create maximum confusion. The Krull supervisors screamed orders, but their communication systems were compromised. Their advanced technology, which they had believed was unbeatable, was now working against them. Massive security mechanisms failed, automated defense systems became confused, and the entire facility began to lose its rigid control. Yu Jin continued her part of the plan, creating additional technological disruptions. She moved between communication terminals, her fingers a blur of motion, ensuring that the Krull's ability to coordinate their response remained completely destroyed. Hours seemed to compress into moments. What had taken months of careful preparation was now unfolding in a series of rapid, calculated actions. The facility that had been a symbol of human oppression was now becoming a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. The rebellion wasn't just about escape, it was a statement. Humans were not the weak, disposable labor the Krull believed them to be. They were intelligent, adaptable, and capable of turning the most advanced technological systems into tools of their own liberation. As the facility descended into technological chaos, Jae-hyun allowed himself a small smile. The Krull had made a fundamental mistake. They had underestimated human potential. They had treated humans as machines, never understanding that machines could be reprogrammed, systems could be manipulated, and technology could be transformed. The calculated rebellion was more than an escape plan. It was a revolution. The facility trembled with technological confusion. Jae-hyun knew their window of escape was narrow and precise. He had constructed electromagnetic pulse generators from pieces of mining equipment, a masterpiece of improvised engineering that would become their ticket to freedom. Yujin signaled the other human slaves. 37 individuals who had been waiting, watching, and hoping would now make their move. Their eyes reflected a mixture of fear and determination. Years of oppression had prepared them for this moment of potential liberation. The first pulse hit the communication networks. Massive security systems flickered and died, creating momentary blind spots in the facility's monitoring grid. Krull guards ran in multiple directions, their multiple limbs tangled in confusion. No one understood what was happening. Jae-hyun moved with calculated precision. He had memorized every corridor, every hidden passage, every potential escape route. The generators he created were not just simple disruption tools. They were carefully designed technological weapons that targeted specific system vulnerabilities. The alien facility's infrastructure began to collapse from within. Power systems failed, security protocols became nonsensical, and automated defense mechanisms started attacking their own systems. What the Krull considered impenetrable technology was now working against them. Each pulse created a cascading failure. Communication terminals went dark. Security doors opened and closed randomly. Automated defense systems became confused, shooting in random directions. The technological marvel of Krull engineering was now a chaotic mess. Yu Jin managed the communication disruptions, ensuring that no clear signal could be sent outside the facility. Her technical skills matched Jae-hyun's strategic planning. Together, they were creating an escape route that seemed impossible. The human slaves moved quickly. They understood that their window of opportunity was limited. Some carried small packages of collected equipment, others supported injured companions. Their movement was coordinated, almost military in its precision. Krull supervisors screamed orders, but their communication systems were completely compromised. Advanced translation devices produced nothing more than random noise. Their rigid hierarchical system, which had always been their strength, now became their greatest weakness. Jae-hyun's plan exploited every possible technological vulnerability. He had studied the facility's systems for months, understanding that technology was simply a series of interconnected protocols that could be manipulated. Where the Krull saw complex systems, he saw potential pathways. The escape route was not straightforward. They would need to navigate through multiple security zones, avoid automated defense systems, and find a way to reach the external transportation hub. Each step was calculated, each movement designed to minimize detection. Massive mining tunnels became their primary escape pathway. Jae-hyun had modified mining drones to create temporary path clearances, ensuring their route remained as undetected as possible. The very technology that had been used to enslave them was now being used for their liberation. Krull security forces attempted to respond, but their systems were in complete disarray. Automated defense mechanisms fired randomly, creating more confusion. Their technological superiority had become their most significant weakness. The group moved through the facility like shadows. Years of oppression had taught them to be quiet, to move carefully, to understand the importance of collective survival. Each person knew their role, each understood the delicate balance of their escape. Outside, the harsh planetary environment waited. Toxic winds swept across rocky landscapes. Temperatures fluctuated wildly, and survival seemed almost impossible. But for these humans, it was still better than continued slavery. Jae-hyun's final electromagnetic pulse created a massive system shutdown. Entire sections of the facility went dark. Security recordings became corrupted. Communication logs became nonsensical. It was as if their escape had never happened. As they reached the external transportation zone, something remarkable happened. A modified mining transport, carefully prepared during months of secret preparation, waited for them. Jae-hyun's engineering skills had transformed a simple machine into their pathway to freedom. The Krull facility stood silent behind them, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. They had done the impossible, escaped from a supposedly impenetrable technological prison. Their unexpected escape was just the beginning of a much larger story. The stolen mining transport carried 37 liberated humans across the vast darkness of space. Jae-hyun sat quietly, analyzing the navigation systems preparing for their next move. What had started as a simple escape was about to become something much larger. Within hours, their communication systems began broadcasting a detailed report. Every piece of information about the Krull Collective's slave operations was being transmitted to nearby human colonies. Star systems that had previously believed resistance was impossible now received a shocking message of hope. The galactic communication networks buzzed with the unprecedented story. Humans who had been considered weak, disposable labor had not just escaped. They had systematically dismantled one of the most technologically advanced alien facilities in the known regions. Intelligence agencies across human-controlled space began analyzing the transmitted data. Technical experts studied the methods Jae-hyun had used to disable the facility. Military strategists realized this was more than an escape. It was a complete breakdown of alien technological superiority. The anti-AI Krull Collective found themselves in complete shock. Their carefully maintained image of technological invincibility had been shattered by a group of slaves they had considered nothing more than simple workers. Reports from the facility made no sense. Entire systems had been compromised from within. Diplomatic channels became alive with discussions. Human colonies that had been passive, accepting years of alien oppression, now saw a different possibility. If 37 slaves could defeat such a massive technological system, what might organized resistance accomplish? Yu Jin continued managing their communication strategy. She understood that their escape needed to be more than just a physical liberation. It needed to be a message of hope for all enslaved humans across the galaxy. Each transmission was carefully crafted to inspire, not just inform. Political leaders in human-controlled regions began demanding investigations. The detailed intelligence about slave operations exposed complex networks of alien exploitation that had remained hidden for decades. What the Krull considered a minor labor system was revealed as a massive, systematic oppression. The escape challenged fundamental assumptions about technological superiority. Alien civilizations had always believed their advanced systems made them untouchable. Jae-hyun had proven that human creativity, engineering skills, and collective determination could overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. Strategic analysis teams worked around the clock. They studied every detail of the escape, understanding that this was more than just a single event. It represented a potential turning point in human-alien relations. The balance of power was shifting in ways no one had anticipated. Krull diplomatic channels became defensive. They attempted to minimize the incident to claim it was a simple technical failure. But the broadcast data was too comprehensive, too detailed to be dismissed. Their attempts at cover-up only made them look more vulnerable. Human rights organizations across multiple star systems began using the escape as a rallying point. They demanded investigations into alien labor practices, called for comprehensive reviews of existing interstellar agreements, and pushed for more protection for human workers in alien territories. The technical details of the escape became a case study. Engineering schools and military academies began analyzing how Jae-hyun had managed to compromise such an advanced technological system. His methods were now being studied as a revolutionary approach to technological resistance. Some alien civilizations became nervous. If humans could defeat the Krull system so comprehensively, what might they be capable of in other situations? The escape challenged long-held beliefs about human capabilities and potential. Within weeks, the story had spread across multiple star systems. What had begun as a simple escape from a mining facility was now a galactic event that would be remembered for generations. Jae-hyun and his group had become symbols of resistance, of hope, of human potential. The stolen transport continued its journey, carrying not just 37 liberated humans, but a message that would change everything. They were no longer just slaves. They were pioneers of a new understanding of human capability. The Krull Collective had made a fundamental mistake. They had treated humans as machines, as disposable labor. They had never understood that machines could be reprogrammed, that systems could be transformed, and that human spirit was the most powerful technology of all. As their transport moved through the darkness of space, Jae-hyun looked at his companions. They were no longer just survivors. They were revolutionaries.